what you wish. I love this. It says that things were going great. Growing up, I always assumed that the Lord is with you. If the Lord was with you, it meant that things were going great. It meant your parents weren't going to get a divorce. It meant you had gotten into college of your choice. You had married the guy or girl of your dreams and bought the house you'd always wanted. And if the Lord was with you, it meant you had landed the corner office.
That's deception.
Yes, right? But we believed it. For some reason, that is part of our human nature, that we want to put everything in the scales of performance. We think that if God is with us, then this is what God is going to do for us. God is not a vending machine. God is not a vending machine. And reality is, we think a lot of times if we keep putting enough in that vending machine to serve God, we do all these good deeds, we read our Bible every morning, we do this, we do that, we perform, then out of the vending machine should come whatever number we punch. Right? That's what we think. That's what we think. Oh, come on, I'm not the only one that thinks that in this room, right? Right. So, okay. So we're going to go on here. God's will. How do I discover God's will for my life? Write out that question. How do I discover God's will for my life? And, really, like he said, the only thing I can tell you, see, when I was growing up, the will of God was talked about in our church. I grew up in a wonderful Baptist church, taught the Word of God, and, there was always talking about the will of God. But the will of God was this very elusive thing that was like a fog. You couldn't actually touch it, And I grew up thinking, how do I find God's will? I mean, I don't know how do I know what God's will is? I was walking through the fog. And I love what this guy says. He said, really, when people come and ask me, how do I find out God's will for my life? I just tell them to get to know God really good. And then from there, I really don't know what else to tell you. Because the actual reality of it is that we're all, by faith, loving God and walking each day out on its own. And all we can do is live one day at a time. Say that with me. Live one day at a time. Take today. Listen, so many of us miss today thinking about what we want God to do for us tomorrow. And we can't do that. We're not going to go anywhere. So, how many of us what would we do? God's will plus normal? God's will doesn't always equal normal. Okay? Say that out loud. God's will does not always equal normal. What is normal? Do you know? Do you know what normal is? I don't know what normal is, but boy, we use that word normal. God, I just want something normal. And I just hear God going, okay, what in normal in whose regard? Do you want something normal according to your description, or something normal in my description, or should I call the angels and ask them what normal is? Reality is we want God's will for our life, and we want to grow in that. And no, just because it's not comfortable where we are doesn't mean that we're not in God's will. Hello? Just because we're uncomfortable. Listen, I was laughing yesterday. A friend of mine, we've known each other since 4th grade, was in town, from out of town, and so we went and had dinner. And, we've known each other our whole lives, okay? And now, I spent 27 years in Texas, and she was in Louisiana. And then after Katrina, she ended up in Texas, and I'm in Louisiana. And I said, what's up with this, But we were laughing because we said, gosh, she lost everything in Katrina. They lost everything. Every stitch of clothes, everything. And we were laughing so hard because of the things that we have come through. And yet, we still feel like those little girls sitting on that bench in that Baptist church trying to figure out what God's will is. We still feel like those little girls. And we laughed about that last night. We said, isn't it hysterical that we're right in our hearts and in that voice inside of us is still saying, God, is this your will? Let your will be done, Lord. Is this it? Oh, I pray that I'm in your will. But the truth is this, if you're seeking his will, it's almost positive that you won't miss it. Okay? If you're seeking God's will and you're saying, God, I want your will to unfold in my life, that means you are going to find his will. He is going to aid you in being in his perfect will. But you know what? I wish I could tell you today that I figured it out. But I haven't. I haven't figured it out. I can't tell you why God didn't heal you, Margaret. I can't tell you why I went through what I went through. I can't tell you why you don't have a job. But I do know this, is that the Lord is with you. And he will not allow you to miss his will if you ask him to keep you in his perfect will. He won't allow you to miss it. He loves you too much. And so we have to ask the Lord, Lord, keep me even in this moment. Okay, so have you ever felt this in this time in your life, or ever in a time in your life? Well, okay, so what's next? Okay, what's next? There's got to be, God, please, what's next? Can we just move on through this thing? I mean, what's next? And nothing happens. And you're going, so there's nothing next? This is the deal. I know from experience is that God will usually allow us to stay where we are until we love where we are. Until we love him in the midst of where we are. That we're still passionately in love with him where we are. Even in the uncomfortable time. Even in he's going to allow you love him in those times. In those moments of pain, agony, sacrifice, all of that. Wondering what in the world. Say, God, I am so in love with you. Thank you. Thank you for today. Thank you for this. I still have my brain, I think. Because sometimes you feel like you lose your brain. But even in the midst of where you are, you may move things on faster in your life if you continue, if you grow in your love with God while you're in the struggle. Growing, take your perspective and put it in the right place. Okay. The last thing I'm going to read, and then we're going to watch the video this morning that's going to take us into our next section. What did you learn through your process, Margaret, of asking God to heal you, and then it didn't happen, and then you had to have surgery? What did you learn?
I learned that no matter where I was or what I was going through, I was good, and his will he was with me, and I would somehow benefit in some crazy way from the pain. And I did because I have empathy for people who have pain. I can understand where they are, can pray for them, and truly want to see them delivered from the pain. And it's worked for my good. I understand it better.
You learned in the process.
Yes.
I think all of us have learned in the process. Anybody gone through something horrible and not learned anything? No. Shake your head with me now. If you didn't learn something about God, you learned something about yourself, didn't you?
That's right.
We learn about ourselves in our moment of pain. Okay, all right. So, what has God done for me lately? Have you ever asked God, so God, why should I move forward answer. If he said that he would be with you, he will be with you. And plan B is never,